Welcome to Crisis in Perception, where we examine the systems shaping our world, one book at a time. Today we're cracking open a truly mind-bending book, The Social Construction of Reality. It gets into this really wild idea that the solid, objective world you and I live in, well, it isn't something we just find. It's something we make, together, every single day.
But hang on a second. If that's true, that raises a huge question, right? Why does reality feel so, well, real? Why does it feel so concrete and solid that you can't just wish it away? And that is the exact puzzle this book sets out to solve by taking a hard look at the assumptions we don't even know we have about the world.
Okay, so let's get into how they unpack this. You might think a book with a title like that would start with some heavy, abstract philosophy, but nope. The authors, Berger and Luckman, start with the most real thing there is for all of us, just everyday life. You know, the world you're in when you're wide awake, the world of your job, your conversations, your daily grind. That's what they call the paramount reality, because it's the one that hits us the hardest.
And just to be super clear, when they talk about reality, they mean that quality of things that exist whether you want them to or not. It's the stuff that pushes back. You can't just wish away the wall in front of you or that Monday morning is coming. It's that stubborn, solid quality of the world. That's what they mean by reality.
So here's the absolute kicker. The whole argument of the book is that this very feeling, this solid, unchangeable, it is what it is reality, is something we humans made. It's not something we found, like a rock. It's something we built, like a city. It's created through everything we do, how we talk to each other, and then it gets passed down from generation to generation until it just feels like it's always been there, like it's just a fact of nature.
Okay, so if we're building reality, how in the world does that actually work? What's the engine that drives this whole construction project? Well, the authors lay out this really elegant, dynamic three-part process. You see, it's not a one-time thing. It's a continuous loop. We're constantly producing society, and at the exact same time, society is constantly producing us.
It all starts with what they call externalization. Now, that's just a fancy way of saying we create stuff. We pour ourselves, our ideas, our physical labor, our creativity out into the world. Every time you tell a story, build a chair, or create a rule, you're externalizing. You're putting a piece of human meaning out there.
So what happens next? Objectification. This is where it gets really interesting. All that stuff we created starts to take on a life of its own. It kind of detaches from us and stands on its own 2 feet. Think about language. We humans invented it, right? But now it confronts you and me as this massive, complex system with rules that we have to learn. It feels like an objective fact of life, not just something our ancestors made up. It's become an object.
And that brings us to the final step in the loop, internalization. We're born into this world that's already full of these objects, language, institutions, rules, and we just absorb them. We soak them up as the reality. And this process literally shapes who we are. It forms our consciousness, our identity, our sense of what's even possible. And boom, there's the loop. We make the world becomes real, and then that real world turns around and makes us.
Now I know that all might sound a little up in the clouds, but the cool part is seeing how this engine plays out in a really practical step-by-step way. It's almost like an assembly line, taking these tiny individual actions and scaling them up into the massive structures of history and society.
So check this out. It all begins with one person doing something, a simple action. If they do it over and over, what does it become? A habit, right? It saves brain power. But here's where it gets social. Imagine 2 people start sharing that habit. They develop a predictable, mutual way of doing things. For them, it's just a handy routine. But then, they have kids. And those kids are born into a world where this routine already exists. For them, it's not a choice or a convenience. It's just the way things are done. It's an objective, undeniable fact of their world.
And you can apply this logic to literally anything. I mean, think about the biggest institutions we have. Marriage, money, the law. At their very, very core, every single one of them started out as just a convenient solution for a couple of people trying to solve a shared problem. It was just a shared habit that worked.
But the moment it gets passed down, the moment that original, hey, this is convenient, context is lost, it hardens, it solidifies. It stops feeling like a human invention and starts feeling like this massive, powerful force of nature. It's not a choice anymore. It's just the world.
And this idea wasn't entirely new. The legendary sociologist Emil Durkheim absolutely nailed it when he said the first rule of his field is to consider social facts as things. Why? Because that's exactly how we experience them. They feel like solid, external objects that push us around and tell us what to do, even though, and this is the wild part, we're the ones who made them in the first place.
Okay, to really bring all this home, let's use one big, central metaphor for the rest of our chat. Picture society as a giant building. Every single one of us is born inside this vast, pre-existing structure. We didn't draw up the blueprints, we didn't lay the foundation, we just wake up in it. And because it's all we've ever known, it doesn't even feel like a building. It feels like the natural world. It's like we mistake the architecture for the landscape.
So what is this building made of? Well, the foundation is all those countless repeated habitual actions we were just talking about. The walls and the rooms, those are the big institutions. Family, the economy, government, and all the different roles we play inside them. And what's holding it all together? That's the roof, the big story we tell ourselves about why the building is the way it is. It's our myths, our religions, our ideologies, the symbolic universe that makes the whole structure feel meaningful and right.
All right, so what's the point of seeing the world this way? Why should you care? Because once you understand this process, you start to see the seams. It's like you suddenly get a copy of the building's blueprints. You can see how it was all put together.
And this brings a profound shift in perception. Before, you might think of reality as the world, singular, absolute, a given. But afterwards, you start to see it as a world, one of many possible worlds. And crucially, it's a world that needs us, all of us, to actively keep it going.
You see, this building, our reality, isn't a finished museum piece. It requires constant upkeep. And guess who the maintenance crew is? It's us. Every casual conversation, every shared joke, every routine action is like laying another brick, patching a wall, or slapping on a coat of paint. We are all constantly rebuilding and reaffirming our social world.
So that leaves us with one final big question to think about. Once you realize you're not just living in the building, but you're also one of its builders, you have to ask, what parts of your world are you helping to build? For the full long-form deep dive into this book and its ideas, follow the link in the description. If you enjoy this kind of systems-level analysis, please like, subscribe, and comment with books or topics you'd like us to explore next.